The Dark Knight is the second installment in director Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, following Batman Begins in 2005. It continues Batman's, played here by Christian Bale, battle to purge Gotham City of organized crime. However, Gotham descends into chaos with the rise of the Joker, played by Heath Ledger, a psychopathic anarchist whose unpredictable violence pushes Batman to the brink. Released in July 2008, the film was both a critical sensation and a massive box office success, becoming the first superhero movie to gross over $1 billion worldwide. In the film, Batman, Lieutenant James Gordon, played by Gary Oldman, and newly elected District Attorney Harvey Dent, played by Eckhart, attempt to dismantle Gotham's criminal underworld. Their efforts are undermined by the Joker, who orchestrates a wave of terror that forces Batman to question his methods and moral limits. As Gotham spirals towards chaos, alliances are tested and sacrifices are made, with grave consequences for those involved. Following Batman Begins' success, Nolan and co-writer David S. Goyer began early development for a sequel. They aimed for a story grounded in realism, drawing from crime dramas and 1980s Batman comics. Harvey Dent was positioned as the central figure, whose tragic arc would contrast with the Joker's chaos. Nolan emphasized a thematic focus on order versus anarchy and the limits of justice. Nolan championed practical filmmaking over CGI whenever possible. The Dark Knight was the first major feature to shoot significant scenes with high-resolution IMAX cameras, significantly enhancing image quality in key action sequences, particularly in the opening bank robbery and Batman's aerial pursuits. Chicago played a major role as Gotham City. Several major action sequences, including the now famous 18-wheeler flip, were shot on real streets. Filming crews coordinated with city engineers to ensure stunts such as the truck flip in the financial district and large explosions at the old factory were performed safely on location. Nolan also filmed scenes in Hong Kong, notably involving Batman's pursuit of the international crime lord, offering a visually distinctive contrast to Gotham's usual urban grit. Composers Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard created a dynamic score, blending electronic elements with orchestral depth. Zimmer in particular designed unsettling themes for the Joker, attempting to musically invoke chaos and psychologically disorientation, a departure from traditional character motifs. Unlike typical superhero fare, The Dark Knight deals intensely with ethical ambiguity. What lengths can a hero go to maintain justice? Where do measures meant to protect society become oppressive? These questions, especially in contexts of fear and terrorism, fuel much of the scholarly discussion. Their philosophical conflict is central to the film's tone and narrative tension. The Dark Knight received widespread acclaim for its story, direction, cinematography, score, and performances, particularly, of course, for Ledger's Joker. It will receive 8 Academy Award nominations and will go on to win Best Supporting Actor for Ledger and Best Sound Editing. Its absence, though, from Best Picture category, despite its massive acclaim, was controversial, later credited with influencing the Academy's expansion of the Best Picture nominees. Because of its realistic tone, moral depth, and technical ambition, many film scholars and fans considered it one of the greatest superhero films of all time. It has influenced subsequent comic book movies to adopt a grittier, more character-driven storytelling, and even influenced the likes of the James Bond series. In 2020, the United States Library of Congress selected The Dark Knight for preservation in the National Film Registry for being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. Some fun trivia. Nolan insisted on real stunts, including flipping a full 18-wheeler truck in Chicago rather than using CGI. Heath Ledger kept a personal Joker diary during preparation to deepen his characterization. The film's success helped make IMAX footage mainstream in blockbuster filmmaking. The movie's blockbuster success and award recognition helped shift Hollywood's view on comic book adaptations, proving that they could be more serious, culturally relevant cinema. Now, art by its very nature is completely subjective. What resonates deeply with one person may leave another cold, and that perfectly is fine. And that's why I've always disliked the idea of rigid top 10 film lists. Cinema exists across many genres, eras, and personal moments in our lives. A film doesn't have to be critically acclaimed to mean the world to you. It might connect because of something deeply personal, a character you identify with, or a story that speaks to where you were at that moment in time. That said, though, if I was ever forced to choose a single film that feels defining to my life as a viewer, one of the greatest cinematic experiences I've ever had would almost certainly be The Dark Knight. From its near-perfect performances to its richly laid, multifaceted story, The Dark Knight represents cinema at its absolute peak. Heath Ledger's Joker is quite simply one of the greatest performances ever captured on film. It's extraordinary, unsettling, and endlessly fascinating. Ledger didn't just play the Joker, he reinvented him. He retained the character's core fundamentals while completely making the role his own, and in doing so, he delivered a performance that steals the film and that lingers long after the credits roll. Like many people at the time, I was initially skeptical when Ledger was cast. This was an actor from 10 Things I Hate About You and A Knight's Tale. Even after his brilliant work in Brokeback Mountain, it was difficult to imagine him embodying Batman's most iconic villain. But any doubts were obliterated almost immediately. His Joker is chaotic yet calculated, theatrical yet terrifying, a perfect antithesis to Batman himself. The relationship feels like a twisted dance, a strange symbiosis, where neither truly exists without the other. And that relationship speaks to what I believe The Dark Knight captures better than any other Batman film, the true essence of the Batman mythos. Batman endures not because of superpowers, but because of that razor-thin line between good and evil. He's a man driven by trauma, loss, and obsession, on a one-mission crusade shaped by the murder of his parents. Bruce Wayne is the mask, Batman is the real identity. Christian Bale, despite the frequent mockery of Batman's voice in recent years, absolutely understands that dichotomy. His performance brilliantly balances the fractured psyche of Bruce Wayne with relentless determination of Batman. Bale's own off-kilter intensity as an actor feeds perfectly into the role, making his portrayal both believable and compelling. One minor gripe I've always had with the trilogy lies in the Rachel Dawes character. Katie Holmes never quite worked for me in Batman Begins, and while Maggie Gyllenhaal is undeniably a far stronger actress and fits better into The Dark Knight, the character still isn't given enough to do. That criticism aside, it is a small blemish on an otherwise extraordinary film. And of course, her character arc is central to the film's overall plot. Another performance that deserves far more recognition is Aaron Eckhart's Harvey Dent. While inevitably overshadowed by Ledger's Joker, Eckhart delivers a career-defining performance. His arc is emotionally the backbone of the film, the tragic transformation of a fundamentally good man pushed just one step too far. Two-Face isn't just a villain, he's a warning. The supporting cast is equally exceptional. Gary Oldman is outstanding here as Commissioner Gordon, delivering yet another masterclass performance. That an actor of his caliber could almost feel like a bit player speaks volumes about the depth and quality of the film's ensemble. Christopher Nolan has made remarkable films, Interstellar, Oppenheimer among them, but for me The Dark Knight remains his career-defining work. While Batman Begins is a strong introduction, The Dark Knight Rises leaves a lot on the table. This middle chapter stands as a near perfection. Even as a standalone film, it is one of the greatest achievements in modern cinema. What truly cements The Dark Knight as iconic is its rewatchability. I've seen it countless times, could quote nearly every line, and yet it still gives me goosebumps, as if I were watching it for the first time. It endlessly is analyzable, rich with themes, symbolism, performances, and subtle nuances that reward repeated viewings. There's no denying that Heath Ledger's tragic death shortly after the film adds another layer to the film's legacy. His posthumous Oscar win and the fact that he never witnessed the global impact of his most defining role lend the film to an additional poignancy. But even without that context, his performance stands entirely on its own merits. For me, The Dark Knight represents what cinema should be: entertaining, thrilling, emotionally resonant, intellectually engaging, and utterly absorbing from the first frame to the last. It's one of those films that if it's on, I simply cannot turn away from. The Dark Knight gets a 10 out of 10. A near perfect film, and one of the greatest of our generation, and a timeless piece of cinema that will continue long to endure for decades to come.